I have a lot of things I want to get off my chest.
Well, enough is enough, and it's time for a change.
Finally, The Rock has come back. I hate this idea that you're the best.
And if you're not down with that, we got two words for ya!
I'm the best in the world.
I fight at WrestleMania for the very, very small percentage of people that walk this planet and say I am proud to be, I'm sorry, a professional wrestler.
Oops, I'm breaking the fourth wall.
It's Podcast of the Immortals with your hosts, Matt Bush and Jimmy Bellamy.
Alright, welcome to Podcast of the Immortals, Episode 6. I'm your host, Matt Bush.
And I'm Jimmy Bellamy.
He's also a host, if you didn't know. Today we got a great show for you. We're going to recap Raw like we always do. We had a terrible Raw, but we'll talk about that. We're also going to count down our top 10 WrestleMania moments of all time. Since we're on our road to WrestleMania, only 2.5 weeks, three weeks away.
19 days.
19 days, holy crap. And then we're going to have our Week 3 of our Fantasy WWE Draft, rounds 11 through 15.
Well, it can't be WWE anymore. You drafted Sting.
Sting. Well, WWE does own WCW now.
All right.
That was my workaround. All right. So we got all that for you coming up. We'll get right into Raw now. Kicked off with John Cena getting confronted by Rufus Pancake Patterson and Darren Young. I don't know why.
My favorite thing about that whole exchange was when Rufus Patterson said, they don't want to see you at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
They want to see the primetime players. When the crowd cheered after the mention of the primetime players, you could see genuine shock on the face of Darren Young. He did not expect the crowd to be excited. And he got this shockingly pleasant smile, like, what? They cheered for us. And then he patted Patterson on the back. And that was the best part of it. Well, that and the new John Cena shirt.
Well, it was a terrible beginning to a terrible Raw. And The Rock clearly wasn't there. He was opening G.I. Joe in some country, I forget which one.
Myanmar. No, I don't know.
Yeah, but for the second straight week, we don't have the WWE champion on TV. We don't have the build up to WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. We only have 2 more Raws before WrestleMania. What the hell is WWE doing?
Well, we did have Rufus Pancake Patterson.
Yeah.
Who is way better than Titus O'Neil.
Well, yeah, and then we also had that great match between John Cena and Darren Young. I was on the edge of my seat for that. I didn't know. I had no idea who was going to win.
I was praying for upset there.
Could you imagine?
And instead I was just upset after the match.
I have no idea what the hell they're thinking. Cena, I mean, they kept Cena off of Raw last week because he didn't want to call attention to Dwayne not being there. Mm-hmm. But why not take advantage of that? Why not use that as ammunition against him?
The only thing I can figure is that they played that out the entire time last year, and CM Punk used some of it too with his feud with The Rock. So it's just, I think they're just hoping to kind of, at least the way it's appearing, is that they're just going through the motions, treading water until they get to WrestleMania, have the event, and hopefully learn from this experience and just get serious.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm hoping.
Well, I think it's pretty obvious that the great experiment with The Rock being champion has not worked. And if they were going to have a rematch, they didn't need the belt.
The only thing I can figure, 2 things. One, this way, their champion can make these public appearances on talk shows, even though I really haven't seen it. I haven't noticed him.
He has. He actually showed up to his premiere with the belt. He showed up on, I forget what, some TV show with the belt and stuff. So he is getting it out there, but I can't imagine, Ellen fans going, oh, The Rock has the belt. I must pay $60 on April 7th.
No one's doing that. And you know that on the red carpet, Channing Tatum's over looking at him like, dude, this look, you look stupid.
Yeah.
You look stupid with that belt. As much as we love wrestling,
Yeah.
I mean, he's got to feel like an absolute stooge. And this is coming from somebody who sported a toy belt through several high school yearbook photos.
What?
Yeah. Not my actual senior photos, but I think my DECA marketing class photo. I had it in our actual class photo. The senior class photo, I had it, and I think in the student council photo.
That's awesome. I'm going to need to see those. We're going to need to put those online.
Yeah, we'll find them.
We must.
My yearbook's somewhere. Of course, it's going to be terrible quality, but we'll get those up.
It's worth it.
But other than that, no one cares, and I'm sure people are like, oh, there you go, Rock. Nice. But the other thing is, the title, I think, if everything happens the way it looks like it's going to happen, with Cena winning and redeeming himself, the belt will be there for him to have and to show it off every day as this fighting champion. And if it leads to anything better than what's been going on lately, fine. I mean, great. But
yeah.
My excitement is being tried. My patience is being tried. My excitement level is waning. And the only good thing about last night was I started a little late, so I got to skip all of the commercials. That was very nice.
Well, that's always a good thing. I gave them the benefit of the doubt. I was really frustrated that we were going to get Rock Cena 2, part once in a lifetime, part 2, twice in a lifetime, whatever you want to call it. Again, and I saw it coming at the Royal Rumble, and I was frustrated because I'm going to it, and I didn't want to see that match because I know how it's going to end. But I gave them the benefit of the doubt afterwards because I'm like, okay, maybe they'll tell a good story. Maybe they'll have good, meetups, and they'll get physical, or they'll get more serious about it. Because last year was a lot of jokes and fruity pebbles and all that crap. But they've done nothing with it. They've had one confrontation, and that was okay. It was just okay. Mm-hmm. So unless they do something way over the top over the next 2 weeks, I don't know. Maybe he's dating his ex-girl, or, his ex-wife or something. Maybe that might be interesting. Like,
The Rock can pull in far better tail than
sure.
John Cena's ex-wife.
Yeah.
If he was going to do that, he might as well start dating his own ex-wife, because they're about on par with each other in the looks department.
Well, something. I don't know. Go get personal with it or something. They got to do something in the next couple of weeks. Otherwise, the crowd's going to be dead. Both people are going to get booed at WrestleMania in New York.
They need to pull out some stops at Mania, whether it's surprise returns involving interference. But I think we're just going to get the straight up match that we expect, with very little intrigue. Mm-hmm. I think that clearly the audience that they've been catering to doesn't need all the frills. They just want to see their guy beat their other guy.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's what I'm afraid we're going to see. The good thing about it is I'm going to see it for like $8. You're going to see it for about $800.
Yeah, maybe a little more.
No, you'll have a lot of fun.
It will be great. I was hoping for better. Last year was a really good Mania. And I don't know, I was so excited about last year's Mania is what I'm like, okay, let's go to next year because Brock's back. What are we going to see? Brock Rock? Are we going to see Brock versus Taker? Like they played up a couple years ago.
And that's what we talked about in my circle. Was we thought it would be Lesnar and Rock.
Yeah.
And we thought that made sense.
The feuds write themselves.
It'd be revisiting their feud from when they were fighting over the Undisputed Championship.
Could have had Cena, Taker. You could have had CM Punk with the belt still wanting to beat Triple H again. Because Triple H beat him at SummerSlam or whatever it was. There was just so many better options, and they've just bungled everything.
The thing that makes me most upset about Rock having the belt and doing nothing with it is this Punk-Undertaker match would be infinitely better if Punk was champion. Mm-hmm. Streak versus streak. You talk about storylines writing themselves.
Oh, yeah.
That would have been perfect.
It's still going to be a good match, and I'm really that's one match I'm really excited for. But
same here. That match will be great.
It could have been so much better.
For the two reasons that people love seeing The Undertaker, especially at WrestleMania. He's going to put on a great show. And his opponent is CM Punk, who is easily, along with Dolph Ziggler, along with Chris Jericho, the guys that you can expect a terrific performance from every match they're in.
Yep.
And you can lump Daniel Bryan into that group too.
Oh, yeah. Well, a couple guys who don't really have great matches. It looks like they're going to have a match at Mania, and that's Ryback and Mark Henry. Ryback squashed David Otunga. Vicky comes out, says Ryback's out of the Shield match. She didn't really give a reason other than they just changed their minds in the back, apparently. And now he's facing Mark Henry, and Big Show's in the Shield match. It looked like they changed their mind or something. There's no excuse given.
I actually watched SmackDown on Friday and saw that Ryback was chosen by Sheamus and Orton to be their partner after Big Show approached the Celtic Vipers originally and wanted to be their partner. So for them to quickly turn it around like this, I mean, it's not the first time they've done this. I mean, they did it last year, I think, with, of course, with the Survivor Series angle when they were going to have Team Punk versus Team Foley and how they quickly changed that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you had the TLC match, which changed because of Punk's injury. That also, by coincidence, involved Ryback. But I think, other than something else going on behind the scenes, maybe this was a way for them to figure out if everybody involved was healthy enough. I mean, maybe they thought Mark Henry wasn't healthy enough to be in this WrestleMania match. I can't imagine why. I mean, he's been wrestling, he looks fine, but I don't know if there was something internally that they thought of, because this really isn't a swerve. I mean, that's the only thing I can figure, is that they did change their minds for some reason, because I mean,
well, it looks like they changed their minds twice, because they had Henry and Ryback staring each other down for a while, and then they're like, well, maybe we'll put him in as a Shield, and then they changed their mind and took him out again, and then put Big Show back in. But there was no, like, at least make it make sense. At least have a story behind it.
And they didn't even do what they could have done with having Ryback struggle against Henry.
Yeah.
After, maybe he gets attacked by the Shield before the match, and then he struggles against Henry and isn't able to lift him or isn't able to, do anything against him. So he would want revenge, but they couldn't even pull that off, and they didn't even do that. So, this is just, again, this is a glorified Money in the Bank replacement match. This is we've got these guys who don't have a match, let's lump them in together.
Yeah.
I don't need to see another Shield 3-on-3 match. I really don't care.
Unless I hope it's a TLC match or something like that.
What would be great is if it involved a new member. If they introduced another guy, if they brought Cassius Ohno in or something, then you've got my attention. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, Shield has been at 3 for a lot longer than the NWO ever was. A lot longer than some other groups have been, and there's been a lot of talk about Orton possibly turning heel, but from what I've heard is that it's going to be after Mania, if at all.
Okay.
So it doesn't sound like it's going to happen in the Shield match.
One quick little observation from that exchange last night in that Ryback match. I mean, funny how you have two former NXTers in Ryback, formerly Skip Sheffield, and David Otunga.
Yep.
When Otunga, I mean, aside from Wade Barrett being the clear favorite and Daniel Bryan being clearly the most talented, Otunga was a guy that they really tried to push on that NXT series. And then, Ryback really was kind of just an afterthought or a bit player in that. I mean, his gimmick was stupid. I'd like to know, I should even find out, I'm sure it's on the web, find out why he went from the Ryback character, which he was in, I think, 2008 wrestling,
to Skip
to Skip Sheffield, and then back to Ryback. I mean, I can see why they went back to Ryback.
Yeah.
But I'd like to know why he wasn't Ryback
Cowboy gimmicks never get old.
in NXT.
I don't know. You can question a lot of things about WWE creative. But they set another, it looks like another main event last night. And this one I am not excited about either. Fandango. I don't even want to.
Dong. Oh.
Yeah. Well, he comes out. Kali is out. He has. Whatever. It's just a terrible thing. Easy heat. He doesn't want to fight again. And now Jericho is going to fight him at WrestleMania, apparently. It's not set in stone yet. They might change their mind 10 more times, but... you know what? I'm sounding really pessimistic on this. I want to apologize. It might be a great match. But the whole angle for this match at Mania is that he's a dancing gimmick and that Jericho was on Dancing with the Stars. And
that's so bad.
Yeah. That's our WrestleMania angle.
That's so bad. And you've got a guy who refuses to wrestle going up against a guy who not long ago refused to talk.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm bored with it, just like everybody's probably bored with us today.
Yeah.
Tonight.
I feel really bad.
But
it's been 15 minutes of bitching right now.
I mean, I remember saying 2 or 3 weeks ago that I couldn't see how they were going to stretch this. I remember, I think it was, well, it would have been with 42 days. It would have been 7 weeks before the Rumble, because they're like, 42 days. I'm like, what in the hell are they going to do with that much time between now and WrestleMania when you don't have any good feuds, you don't have any good build-up? I mean, you could have made something out of it, but right now, I mean, I think they are wishing that WrestleMania was next week or last week. Yeah. I mean, and I remember during the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view thinking, this is a lot of time between pay-per-views. I mean, I understand that it's Mania, but I don't remember there being 8 weeks or 7 weeks between pay-per-views.
There used to be a long time ago when there weren't like 10 to 12 pay-per-views.
Of course that, yeah.
But they weren't really telling a lot of stories. A lot of squash matches.
And and now this is that perfect mess of everybody's eyeballs being, not just eyeballs on it, but their mouths being able to spew garbage on Twitter.
Yeah.
I mean, you and me included, giving that immediate feedback about how bad something is. And I say how bad because no one's ever like, oh, this was great. No, you're going to hear about what's bad from people. It's just we are conditioned to piss and moan about things. And WWE, unfortunately, has painted itself into that corner by pimping Twitter and Tout. And does anybody use Tout?
I don't know. Some weird... The funny thing about Tout is that they always pick the people who are like... They want to interject themselves into the feud. Like, all right, I think Ryback's going to beat John Cena, and I'm going to be the guest referee. Oh, like, who are these people?
They're the same people who vote on those polls on the website that think wrestling's real. Yeah. If they find that person who's like, and you look at the background, they've got like the Undertaker poster and like the foam finger.
The most, I think that the travesty of the Fandango and Jericho potential match is that Jericho won't be able to fight Ziggler, which was another, other than the Undertaker match, was the one I was most looking forward to. Those are two of the best workers in the company in the last 5 years, I think. Mm-hmm. And instead, they take Ziggler and put him into a tag team championship match with a guy he hasn't even been in a tag team with. He's never even been in a match with this guy.
Ziggy and Big E.
Yeah, Ziggy and Big E.
My only thought is that they will have Ziggler win the tag titles and the heavyweight championship in the same night. That's what I think will happen. I look at, he's won two weeks in a row now. when he was dropping matches left and right.
Did he win last night?
He did.
That's 3 in a row then.
Okay, then. Yeah. There you go. And I said, when he was taking some of those losses a few weeks back, and, you know, losing to Del Rio seemed like on a nightly basis. And it probably was with house shows. But he was losing to Cena, losing to everybody. Did I dream it, or did he lose to The Miz?
I think he lost to The Miz, yeah.
And I thought, they have to be setting him up for something good here.
Yeah.
And now he's getting on this winning streak. I think you're going to see him win the tag titles. You'll have that Kane, Daniel Bryan implosion. And then you're going to have him beat a newly crowned champion, Jack Swagger, at Mania.
See, I would like that. But they set it up so perfectly at the Royal Rumble with Daniel Bryan and Kane being in quaffles with each other. You know, everyone thought that was going to lead to a Mania match where the winner becomes the tag team champion.
When you said that,
much sense.
That was so beautiful. When you said that, I thought that's awesome. That would take something that they've been saying for months that seemed like nothing and actually turn it into a big deal.
Yeah,
we could have tag team champions fighting each other for the tag team championship,
and it makes too much sense not to do it. Well, they're not doing it. And then you have number one. Who's number one at WrestleMania or Royal Rumble? I'm sorry.
Ziggler and
Dolph
Jericho.
Ziggler. Number 2, Chris Jericho. Guess what? Ziggler beat Jericho to knock him out of the WWE like 9 months earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect feud leading up to Mania. What do? They don't have either of those matches. The only match that they've set up at Royal Rumble that's going to happen is Rock versus Cena. That seems like all they care about. They've messed up everything else.
And they don't even have...
that I was excited about.
They don't even have Zack Ryder versus Dolph Ziggler for the Internet Championship.
No.
Which is what they said they were going to fight for on Zack's show, Z True Long Island Story.
But we do have an Intercontinental Championship match between Wade Barrett and The Miz.
So you have the guy who was main eventing, who won the main event and retained his WWE Championship 2 years ago. And now he's fighting for the Intercontinental Championship.
And you know what this angle is built on?
Movie roles.
They both have a movie.
Parts.
Yeah. Although The Miz was the star of the Marine 3.
If you're in the Marine 3, even if you're the star, it's a bit part.
I really think David Otunga should get into this maybe
for the call.
match.
Oh, God. I just... God, I hope WWE... I hope somebody from WWE hears this someday.
You know, Chyna was in some movies. Maybe she could come back. She's a former Intercontinental champion.
She is,
as well.
And actually she shared the title with Jericho at one time.
So that could be interesting.
But yeah, WWE films, time to pack it up. Just stop.
Actually, the call made a lot of money for them.
I don't care. There are a lot of stupid people out there, and they watch movies on occasion. Stop making movies.
And the Marine 3 has actually been a big hit on DVD. So they're doing it.
One, I can't believe people still buy DVDs.
Yeah.
2, shame on you, everybody.
Okay, well, we had more... Well, actually, okay, here's a positive thing about Raw. They announced a new Hall of Famer, Booker T.
Five-time.
He should be 6-time. Triple H with a shovel.
Oh, so
just buried him. Yeah, WrestleMania 19, 2000.
Well, technically he was a 6-time because he won it as King Booker, but that's the World Heavyweight title, which they recognize separately from the WCW title.
Yeah.
Booker T, sweet. I saw some people on Twitter saying that was premature, that he probably shouldn't be there ahead of some other people, but I really don't care. WWE and their Hall of Fame. I mean, do they actually physically have a Hall of Fame building yet?
I don't think
because until they do, I'm not going to take them seriously. And plus, it's just Vince McMahon, I'm assuming, saying like, this guy should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So Booker T, I mean, he should be. He's tremendous. Good career.
It's probably the greatest class they've ever put together.
Pound for pound.
Bruno Sammartino.
Including Donald Trump.
You got
Mick Foley, Trish Stratus. Yeah, you know, you're right. Because usually they'll throw in like a bit guy where it's like, or they'll be like, there's
Coco Beware,
Wendy Richter. Yeah. Like, okay. I mean, not to be disrespectful to
Sonny,
the previous ages of wrestling. But yeah, you're right. This one is pretty damn good.
Pretty loaded.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I hate to agree with you all the time, but this is a good class. Are they done now? Or are they going to add more?
It seems, I don't know. I doubt they'll add someone else at this point, but
okay,
they could.
I think Booker T is well deserved. He's the guy who, when he came over in 2001, he was one of the few guys who came right over to WWF from WCW. And I was impressed with him because he, to me, was going to forever be a WCW guy.
Oh yeah.
You look at guys like I'll throw one out there, Scott Steiner. Of course, he was in WWF. He was successful with his brother as a tag team, and then he completely changed his look, became this even more jacked up, bleach blonde singles wrestler. But he, to me, was the epitome of WCW and its awfulness. And when he came back to WWE, he still seemed like a WCW guy to me. Booker T, to me, was a WCW guy. And he completely changed that. I remember that match he had with Buff Bagwell. That was so terrible. They really weren't given the greatest of chances, but it was for the WCW title. It was the first WCW match on WWE television. They didn't even hit the ropes right, because you could tell WCW had their ropes a lot tighter.
Yeah.
And they looked uncomfortable. Booker T looked uncomfortable. He looked like he had to relearn a lot of stuff. But he, to me, is a WWE guy through and through. He had that odd tag team success with Goldust. He was the king of the ring. He was the world heavyweight champion. He's been an announcer. We have our opinions about how he does as an announcer. Yeah. Now he's the GM of SmackDown. He's made a nice transition from wrestler to wrestling personality. Yeah. And he's also done a good job in the ring when he's fought. Last year when he fought Cody Rhodes, he looked decent.
Oh yeah, he's still in good shape. And you look at a lot of those WCW guys, and when they came over, they had a rough time. Even Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, Steiner, who had that big, return, or I guess it would be a return at the Royal Rumble, and DDP. They had a little success, but never anywhere close to where they were in WCW. Booker T is the only guy who I think maintained.
Yeah. You look at, you could throw Rey Mysterio in that group too.
Oh yeah,
and that's the group. It's him and Booker T, and that's really it.
But didn't Mysterio come before WCW?
No, he came after the
really?
purchase. Yeah,
I thought he did pull the Jericho and came a little early.
No, he didn't. He came. He was with WCW on their last show.
Okay. Well, I guess
he was one of their guys. He was one of the guys they debuted not long after. I think they had signed him pretty much right away, or at least kept his contract or whatever they did. But you look at those other guys, they really didn't get a chance. DDP didn't get a chance. And I think, unfortunately, that was just Vince wanting to show that they're better.
Yeah. Which,
to me, shouldn't exist in today's world. We know all of this is predetermined. No one should think that, well, this WCW wrestler beat a WWF guy, therefore WCW's better.
Yeah.
No, a lot of guys got a raw deal because of that.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
Well, and that's why Sting didn't come over. He was worried about that, and Goldberg didn't come over because he had that guaranteed contract, and it really hurt that the biggest guys from WCW didn't come over right away. But Booker T did, and well-earned Hall of Fame spot. I'm really excited to see him go in, along with the rest of the prestigious class that they got going. But we also had another... I thought it was a decent moment on Raw, other than Booker T's. The CM Punk and Undertaker... I guess showdown.
Confrontation.
Yeah.
I'm sure that the Punk segment was pre-taped, but
It wasn't.
it was not.
I don't believe so.
Well, I'm gonna say that good for them, because when he was juggling that urn, I thought a couple of times, I'm like, oh, I really hope he doesn't drop it when he's not supposed to drop it.
Yeah.
So yeah, they pulled that off well. How do you know that was?
Well, because, I mean, for one, he said, oh shit, and they barely caught it the first time, and when they replayed it, it was a lot more edited.
I noticed that.
And second, there was backstage heat on him. I just read this right before coming over here. That the segment stunk, they thought. They thought it was over the line a little bit, and they were mad that he swore. If it was pre-taped, they would have known that before going to air, and they wouldn't have been upset with him afterwards. So I assume it was live, and it makes sense, because then they can interact. If someone wants to say something off the cuff, you know, they're not stuck to a script.
That's true. Okay, well, good. I'm glad. If it indeed was not pre-taped, I'm glad that was the case.
I did love that he swore, and I love that he dropped it, because, you know, I don't know if he did it on purpose or not. He probably did.
Oh, you could tell you could tell based on at the point he dropped it that he intentionally dropped it.
Yeah. And I'm sure he ran it by Taker beforehand to make sure it was okay, and I thought it was great. I thought it was pretty funny.
I just wish you could tell it was empty based on the sound and how it looked very light.
Yeah.
I wish something would have spilled out though.
Yeah.
That would have been great. Just like, oops, there's smashes there.
You hear, oh yeah, just
when he's opening the top. Like a little mouth.
I loved, you know, the cheesy "My Undertaker." I thought it was great.
And he said, "Sorry, no disrespect. I can never hit those high notes."
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't the best segment of all time. I mean, it didn't live up to what they did last week, but I thought it built a little bit. And with Punk not being able to really wrestle right now because of the injury, you know, they did what they could, and I thought it was pretty solid.
I have trouble investing in these recent Undertaker WrestleMania feuds, because I just know what the ending is going to be. And I mean, we talked, I think, with some optimism or hope that Punk could be the one to end it, but he's not going to. I mean, so
it's not likely.
We'll still sit back and we'll enjoy it. Yeah. It'll be a fun match, and I'm willing to say that it will be the best match at WrestleMania.
It's a good possibility. I would definitely put my money on it if I were a betting man.
The only bummer about last night, though, is that just like it's the match I'm looking forward to, it's also the segment during these Raws that I'm looking forward to, and last night didn't deliver. I think it did what it could for what it was. Yeah. But unless they're face to face, or if unless Punk is in front of the crowd too, whether it's in the same segment or separate segments, it's just not going to be able to deliver the impact you're looking for.
I'd give it a solid C+.
All right, then.
For that segment.
I don't give D's in my classroom, so yeah, that gets a C.
Well, I mean, on a show full of D's.
Oh God! Believe me, that was the only thing that would have made the show good, is if they had a show full of D's. I mean, Rosa Mendez was on there. That was probably the best part. Yeah. Caitlyn was okay. Caitlyn was on there. Yeah.
AJ.
Yeah. So, well, I said a show full of D's.
I know. I'm okay. I get you. There was one decent match, the Jericho, Miz, and Barrett match for the IC title. Of course, Barrett won. It was a good match. I actually enjoyed watching it. The ending was kind of lame, but everything before that was good. Jericho kind of made the match again.
I figured the result would be that Barrett would win, but it was a good match.
Yeah.
Overall, I think. God, I could be wrong, but I think did they take 2 commercial breaks?
I think, yeah.
It was a lengthy bout, and I did not go to my Raw Active app because I was, as you know, watching on DVR, which was pretty nice. So that was a good thing to be able to skip through those commercials, but it was a good match. It was what you'd expect, but it's just,
It's a throwaway match. Yeah. I mean, you knew it was going to happen, but it was solid action. It was certainly a lot better than our final segment of the night. One might call it the main event. The contract signing between Brock Lesnar and Triple H.
left me.
Yeah.
Do you want to start? I mean, this left me a little very confused. I think I had more questions at the end of the segment, wanting to know. So, okay, Triple H is forced to put his career on the line. Well, one, who cares that it's a no-holds-barred match? Like, that's great, yay. And then, your big surprise stipulation is that his career's on the line. To me, they needed to make it more specific, because I'm sure what they mean after taking the day to digest.
His wrestling career.
But to me, I thought, well, you need to clarify with him.
Yeah.
Do you mean his COO? His COO position?
Because Paul Heyman could slip in there. I mean, it could be interesting if they went that way, but everything I've read is that Trips is going over in Mania.
The other thing, too, is prior to... At one point, I remember thinking, did he sign the contract yet? Because with Heyman saying what he was saying about the stipulation could be for Stephanie, then I thought, maybe that... I thought, that is the stipulation. I thought, okay, that makes sense. That would be kind of an indecent proposal type deal. Mm-hmm. But I thought it wasn't very PG-ish. But I thought, okay, that's the stipulation. And then I was like, well, did he sign the contract yet? And I was lost through it. But to me, to say Triple H's career's on the line, well, great. I mean, it's par for the course with this feud, because I think the only person who cares about his career being on the line would be Triple H. No one really... I don't think the crowd's going to be invested. Oh my God, you mean the guy who wrestles once a year might not be able to wrestle once a year?
I saw a meme that said Triple H comes out of retirement for a retirement match. To put his career on the line. Comes out of retirement to put his career on the line. I've messed up.
Gross. Gross.
My big question from the segment was, why was Triple H going all Monsters Ball on Paul Heyman and like ripping his shirt off and stuff? What was he trying to do there? Was it like he slapped him?
I think that was just to show how personal it was getting and how enraged Triple H was that he was going to hurt Heyman. But yeah, I mean,
it was kind of weird.
The whole thing about it though is, why wouldn't Brock have come out sooner? It's not like Triple H wasn't going to sign the contract.
Poor Paul Heyman's just screaming, "Help me! Help me!" I'm like, oh my God, he's getting sexually assaulted up here by Triple H. It's very awkward. Kind of like the show concerned. But it was just bizarre. I
hate to crap all over everything here.
It was a bad episode.
I'm watching now to see them do things that I think that there's no way they'd possibly do it. Mm-hmm. To say they're not going to do that. Oh my God, they're going to do that. That's what they decide to do. Okay. And that's what it's gotten to for me every week now, is they look like they care as much as I care. And I don't care at all at this point. Maybe that's part of the problem, that as fans we continue to watch. And I guess the biggest message we could send is, don't watch.
I just want to be there when it gets good again.
That's the same way. I mean, I've been through these ebbs and flows. I've seen the lean times. I mean, I remember thinking towards the end of 2011, wow, this is getting good again. They amassed this group of talented, I don't want to say superstars, wrestlers.
Yeah.
And that had potential. These people,
Daniel Bryan, CM Punk.
Not only were they good, but they had a lot of young guys who were getting better.
Yeah.
Kofi Kingston, Sheamus. And now it's like, we don't know what to do. We don't know what to do with all these people.
I know. They have the talent there. Mm-hmm. They could. I mean, the Shield's awesome. Ryback could be good. I mean, if he was booked right. So many young, talented guys,
I think they're saddled by the TV PG rating, and I'm not saying you need to make it like risque, but they're saddled by that, and they're stuck with having this. I feel like Vince or somebody is like that boss that says like, oh, we need to incorporate social media into our design and into everything we do, but no one is quite sure how to do it, so they're just, yelling Twitter every 5 seconds and just throwing crap everywhere, just hoping that something works. And that's how I feel that the show, it comes across that way. That's how the viewer sees it, is just this presentation of, that you don't know what's going to happen until the minute it happens, and it's not a good surprise. It's just, okay, I guess this is what they're doing this week. It doesn't make sense. It's not linear, but okay.
I think they're starting to, well, not starting, but they've been kind of flying by the seat of their pants, kind of like WCW did in their later years. Well, even in their biggest years, but they're not looking long term with their storylines. I mean, other than Cena Rock. But if you look at WrestleMania 17 and 19 are highly regarded as maybe the two best WrestleManias ever. Every single feud at WrestleMania 17 had a story, had a great angle, and then had a big payoff with an awesome match at WrestleMania. And that's what WrestleMania should be. You look at the stories now, you're going to get a 2-week build-up of Fandango and Jericho? Why? How does that make sense? What is the point of that match going on at WrestleMania? How does that deserve a WrestleMania match?
And it's another guy who's not going to have a match before WrestleMania. You have Fandango, you have The Rock, Triple H, Brock Lesnar, Undertaker, and now CM Punk, guys who aren't going to have matches until WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And we're 19 days away now. And a lot of the guys that I mentioned, other than Punk, the other guys haven't wrestled at all.
Yeah.
And the only reason Punk's not wrestling is because he's hurt. Reportedly. I did read a report a week ago on Pro Wrestling Torch that said one of the guys in WWE's creative team did leave the company within the last week or two, and maybe that's the problem. But I'd like to believe, but I haven't been given any indication that this is the case, that WWE is willing to listen to feedback. And I'm not talking about feedback from fans, but from somebody with, with the ability to tell the powers that be, hey, what you're doing here makes no sense, or it isn't working, or hey, this might be a better direction to go. And I get the vibe, and I don't know why, because I have no reason to get this either way, but the vibe I get is that they're completely unable to accept criticism. Oh, you don't get it. I just feel like that would be their answer.
You're not,
they should be receptive. Maybe they are receptive. I don't know. Maybe I'm just basing this on assumptions and perceptions that I see. But
you talked about the instant feedback. Maybe they're basing too much on that. Maybe they do have longer set plans, but then they get feedback right away and they want to change it. Because they got this bad feedback, and then they change it, and then they get even worse feedback, and they want to change it back, but it's too late, and they messed everything up already.
I think we're going to find out years from now that the company's current state is in flux because you have too many people pulling in different directions. You have Vince McMahon still around, and you have Triple H, you have Stephanie, and I mean, I can only imagine she's in a weird spot, being that one is her husband, one is her dad.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
They should just have CM Punk run the company. I think it'd be an awesome. They also need competition again.
The competition certainly helps, but I mean, I know you're joking about the CM Punk thing, but his brand of wrestler is up and coming. I mean, you're seeing that embraced more and more with Daniel Bryan, Seth Rollins, and if they allowed those guys to be as creative as they are, and I think that would help. And I think a lot of the people now would say, these creative writers, you don't need it. You let these guys, let these wrestlers create on their own, and see what happens.
They have,
like it always was.
During the Attitude Era, and I don't know when it changed, they used to cut their promos off the cuff. They would have a general outline of what they needed to say, but now, I mean, you watch Wade Barrett or, God forbid, Swagger out there. he's trying to. You can just see him spinning the wheels, like, and then I'm going to we the people. Like he's trying to visualize the script in his head. You can tell that he's just getting fed lines, and you can't do that. Like, let the guys just be the guys. Like, they know they're smart people. You know, they want to be there. If they weren't, just let them talk. Just let them get into it. We might get an Ultimate Warrior, promo every once in a while, but most of it's going to be better than what we get now because it feels so forced and scripted.
Yeah, sometimes I think they need to turn the social media off or just not pay attention to it because it probably has a great influence. And I don't mean great as in good, but great, a big-time influence on which direction they go from week to week, and sometimes from hour to hour. Yeah. But the other thing is this 3-hour Raw, they should abandon it because it's just recap after recap. You're getting recaps of SmackDown. You're getting recaps of what happened, 1 or 2 segments ago.
Or at least have good wrestling on.
It's just tough to stomach.
Yeah. We get the same amount of wrestling in a 3-hour Raw as a 1-hour main event show, which is sad. Like, I want wrestling. Show me wrestling, please.
Yeah.
You have the guys. You have so many guys. Just let them do their thing.
I agree.
That was Raw. An awesome Raw.
Hope you didn't miss it.
Yeah. If you did, you're probably glad you did at this point. We're gonna kick off our top 10 this week. With our WrestleMania theme over the last 3-4 weeks. This week is our top 10 WrestleMania moments of all time. And this can be anything. This can be a single move in a match. This can be a moment before the match, like a stare down, or it can be the aftermath, the crowd. Any single moment in time that is captured at WrestleMania can be part of this list. So number 10, we got WrestleMania 10. Shawn Michaels, HBK, flies off the top of the ladder in the ladder match against Razor Ramon.
Yeah, I see it right now. I see the mullet.
Yep.
I see him coming down like a sloth that fell out of a tree. Just
like freedom.
like a flying squirrel.
Yeah.
I liked that match. Now, that was the first WrestleMania ladder match, correct?
It was, yes. The first, it was the second ladder match in WWF history. Mm-hmm. The first one was 1992, also with Shawn Michaels. But I think that was like Saturday Morning Slam version of whatever that they had gone on. It wasn't...
Superstars, maybe.
Yeah, this was definitely the first mainstream ladder match you've ever seen. And... everyone thought they might do it, but no one thought anyone was crazy enough to get on top of a ladder and jump off of the thing. Yeah. Shawn Michaels did it.
It's a moment, of course, that throughout the years they've shown in highlight packages and vignettes and trademarks, or signatures, not trademarks. But for me, you've got Mr. WrestleMania and one of his many WrestleMania moments. I think it's fitting to be in the top 10.
Absolutely, yeah. One of my favorite matches ever. I loved when he would walk under the ladder, The other one dodged it. It was just great. Our number 9, ding! We got Brock Lesnar almost killing himself, trying to shooting star press against Kurt Angle at WrestleMania 19.
I was pretty sure he did die. I remember watching that at my friend Chris's house, your friend Chris's house too.
What's up, JV?
And a couple of my brothers were there, and then a few of our friends, and we all looked at each other like, "Oh my God, he's either dead or he's paralyzed."
Yeah.
And he ended up being just massively concussed, and I'm sure very, very sore. But he got up and he was able to. Angle did a good job. I think Angle put him in a small package, I think, to kind of sell that this was not quite botched.
Yeah.
And then Lesnar was able to
hit the F5,
pick him up and do the F5. That was an awesome moment because I remember watching Brock in a tag team match with Shelton Benjamin at it was at a Raw in a dark match before the show. Jesse Ventura was in their corner.
Oh wow!
And they came out in Gopher Maroon and Gold.
Nice.
And and Brock did the moonsault and it was so cool to see a man that big do it so well.
6'4", 300.
He got so much height, but he didn't do it from that length. And I remember when I saw Angle laying on the canvas, I thought, he's too far away.
Yeah.
There's no way they're going to pull this off. And I thought, holy crap, he didn't pull off.
He's dead.
I wish he would have hit that, because if he had, it probably would be much higher on this list.
Yeah, number 9... I still think he's dead. I don't know. I think he's a zombie right now.
Might have been, the beginning or the end.
It makes sense.
It was right there.
Yeah. But definitely an awesome moment. One of the best Manias ever. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Our number 8 is another big move. And it happened at WrestleMania 17. We were just talking about WrestleMania 17. It was Edge spearing Jeff Hardy he was hanging from the belt. Above the ring, about 10 feet down, the spear into the mat. Unbelievable.
Everything about it was great. The timing, the spot he speared him, the spot on his body, the landing, the way Hardy sold it. Everything about it was great, and like the way I think Edge popped up after he did it. It was a great match and a great move. It really the move of that match that had a lot of great. Not like, I remember when, Bubba Ray hit the ladder this way, but to have the Hardys, the Dudleys, and Edge and Christian put on
very first TLC match.
In a TLC match, and I remember when they said, we're going to have a TLC match, I'm like, T-Boss, Left Eye, and Chili?
The Learning Channel?
But now, the TLC match is a staple. They have a pay-per-view named after it now, and that was when the tag team division was awesome. Loved it.
Yeah, definitely cool moment. It was another one of those you'll see in every video package ever. Our number 7 moment is one you probably won't see on any video packages anytime soon. But at the time, it was definitely one of the most unanticipated things, and it was at the end of WrestleMania 20 when Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit shared their title wins together in a stream of confetti at Madison Square Garden.
Now, Kevin Nash says this is when wrestling died, because you had two little guys celebrating their championships in the center of the ring at WrestleMania. I don't agree with that, but I enjoyed this moment because it was genuine. Mm-hmm. These guys who really were best friends. And now, of course, in hindsight, you look back and you see, both men are dead.
Yeah.
Not a few years. This was 9 years ago, and these guys are already dead, which is amazing.
Well, Eddie was dead within 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When did Benoit?
Benoit was 07, May 07. Eddie was November 05.
And 20 was. When was WrestleMania? 2004.
It was 9 years ago. 2004.
Yeah.
So Eddie would have been like a year and a half later. He would have died. So in hindsight, to see that, wow, here, and like you said, Matt, WWE will continue to pretend Benoit didn't exist, and I can't blame them.
They gotta.
They would take a giant PR hit.
Yeah.
So I don't mind them not having him appear there, but it was a special moment because it was real, and because to me it was a surprise that these two guys were going to be their champions that night. That was cool. I know Eddie came in to the match with the title, but I thought Kurt Angle was going to win that at first. So
with Benoit beating, it was Triple H and Shawn Michaels in a match, and no one expected
no
that.
one did. No, and
for him to win and celebrate with his buddy right in the middle of Madison Square Garden, it was totally cool moment. Heartwarming moment at the time, and one I look back on and really enjoy. So. Our number 6 moment of all time, and I have the quote here, but I don't know if I have it right. I don't know if it's, well, let me just say it. It's Shawn Michaels versus Ric Flair at WrestleMania 24, and it's the very end of the match where Flair gets up and is egging him on, and Shawn says, "I'm sorry, I love you," and then super kicks him and defeats him to end Ric Flair's, at least WWE wrestling career. I don't know if it's "I'm sorry, I love you" or "I love you, I'm sorry." I might have
It's the former. He says, "I'm sorry, I love you."
Okay, so I had it right. You have Mr. WrestleMania taking on maybe the greatest wrestler of all time, 16-time champion, ending his career on top in a match that Pro Wrestling Illustrated named Match of the Decade. And to end it that way, I mean, the respect that Shawn gave, just really, really great WrestleMania moment.
I had a lot of fun watching that, and I had been one for years to say that Ric Flair shouldn't be wrestling. He should have been done a long time ago. WWE put him on that winning streak where I think they said the stipulation. I don't think they did, but I think it was Vince McMahon who said, if the next loss you suffer is the end of your career. Yeah. So he went on, I think, a 4-month run of wins. Yeah. And of course that led up to the Hall of Fame ceremony the night before WrestleMania where he was inducted. And he had the big send-off on Raw the next night, which was equally awesome. Yeah. I thought that was cool. And to have this match, that was a great match. And even though you knew Flair was going to lose, there were times where I thought, he's going to win, he's going to pull this off. And it was cool to see the way it played out, and that Michaels was his opponent, and that they were both so graceful in that match, and just the way they handled it. And then right after the match, Michaels leaves the ring. Yeah. Like, immediately. Yep. Wanting to give Flair that moment. It was really classy.
It kind of played out 2 years later when Undertaker did the same thing for HBK in Arizona. And it did it first. It did it better, I think. And that moment where you're looking right at Shawn and you can just tell he doesn't want to do this, but he has to. And it was just great. I loved it. Definitely worth top 10.
Yes.
All right. Well, we'll kick off our top 5 with one of your favorite moments.
Yeah. To me, this is up there with anything that you immediately think of when you hear the word WrestleMania. And this was if we had to pick a moment out of this match, it was just the shock that a lot of us kids at the time felt when the Ultimate Warrior defeated Hulk Hogan in the title versus title match at WrestleMania 6.
Yep, WrestleMania 6 in Toronto, Skydome. Hogan came in champion for 3.5 years straight. No one thought he could be beat. And Warrior, riding a wave of momentum, he had defeated the Honky Tonk Man after 1.5 years of carrying the Intercontinental title. He basically squashed him. He beat him in like a minute. And then he goes on, rides that wave of momentum through to WrestleMania 1991, the peak of the Rock and Rolla era, and the Ultimate Warrior comes out on top. Unbelievable moment. I loved it. I was always a Hogan guy, but Warrior was a close second, so I didn't have any problems with it.
Yeah, that caused a lot of division with a lot of people internally. I know they supported both guys, so it was bittersweet, but to me it was just the shock that I remember feeling that you mean Hulk Hogan lost? I mean, because you have to remember, this guy didn't fight every week on TV, and he wouldn't lose a tag team match and then be on a pay-per-view the next week, the next Sunday. So for him to lose on that stage in that way, it was a big deal. And I mean, this was the first WrestleMania outside of the U.S. Babyface versus babyface, Intercontinental champion versus WWF champion. It was pretty sweet. And then shortly after that, Undertaker, Ultimate Warrior, had to relinquish the IC title, and they put that up in a tournament that I think Mr. Perfect won.
Sounds right.
But yeah, that was a great moment. Say what you want about that match, but for WrestleMania, that has to be a significant
moment. And that moment where he's holding up both belts and his makeup is all gone, getting sweated all off. Cool moment. Top 5, definitely worth it. Our number 4 moment of all time is WrestleMania 18, and it is basically right leading up to the match between Rock versus Hogan, and how insane the crowd was throughout the whole match, but especially at the beginning, and their stare down leading up to the Icon versus Icon match.
This was the same crowd, Toronto, same site.
Yep, 12 years later.
And to me, this was one of the best moments because it was the most organic moment out of all of them. I mean, even the botched Brock moonsault doesn't have anything on this when it comes to organic. I did not expect Hogan to have the crowd behind him like he did going into that match. I thought they're going to clearly see this guy as someone who's far past his prime, someone who is coming in as the villain. And I think, and I could be wrong, but I think they changed. I mean, he was pretty much forced to be a babyface after
that, yeah. He went back to Hulkamania.
I mean, I don't think that it was their intention to turn him, but they turned Hall and Nash against him.
Yeah.
It may have even been later that night.
Yeah, the NWO didn't last very long.
Was it the end of that match, or was it the next night on Raw? It was the next night on Raw.
Yeah, it was pretty quick afterwards. But
this I remember watching it and having goosebumps at this moment, thinking, how cool is this? The guy who I didn't care for anymore, but loved as a kid. I mean, one of the main reasons why I watched wrestling was Hulk Hogan, and here he is facing the guy who is the reason why I'm watching wrestling now.
Yeah,
The Rock. It was really cool to see. It was the ultimate fantasy match to be able to see one of those come true, where it's like, okay, now that WWF and WCW are 2 or 1, now the 2 are 1. Who could we have fight who? And this was one of those matches. This was that dream match. And it was more than that, though, because it was your guy from another time.
Yep.
Fighting
against now
The Rock. It was pretty sweet.
And the crowd really made that match. I mean, if you watch that match on mute, you probably think it's, okay, average. If you watch it with surround sound, you think it's the greatest match of all time. And that's even Jim Ross at the beginning. This is a WrestleMania moment, them staring down. So we had to put it on our list. Well earned number 4 spot. Our number 3 WrestleMania moment of all time is my personal favorite. And it is Steve Austin bleeding, trying to kick out of the sharpshooter, and eventually passing out instead of tapping out in the submission match at WrestleMania 13 against Bret Hart.
One of many cool Austin WrestleMania moments.
Yep.
And I gain more appreciation for this one as the years go by, after not being able to see Austin and Hart extend their careers like some other wrestlers were. It makes you really appreciate this one more.
Yeah. Well, and not only was the moment, awesome, which it was, top 3 of all time, but it meant so much afterwards, because you had the double turn, face and heel turn. Stone Cold became a good guy. Hart became a bad guy. Hart, carried that wave of momentum, through to the screw job, eventually leaving. And you got Austin following a wave of momentum after that, becoming the man and winning the WWF Championship at WrestleMania 14, which is our number 2 moment of all time.
This one stands out in my mind because to me it ushered in the Attitude Era officially, and it solidified Austin as the guy who was going to make people not necessarily forget about, but he was going to really be the first guy and the only guy to surpass Hulk Hogan. I mean, I say only, I think you can throw Rock in there too.
Awesome.
But before, I thought no one's ever going to be greater than Hulk Hogan.
Yep.
And no, my icon is Stone Cold Steve Austin, and this was that passing of the torch in a way, because it led to, I think it was another 4 years before Shawn Michaels ever fought another match.
Yeah.
Wrestled another match in WWE. I think he had one match against, I think he teamed up with Just Incredible to fight, I can't remember, but I think he fought in a tag team match in a street fight in an independent show before he came back to WWF. But I thought, at this time, and like a lot of people thought, that HBK's career was over.
Yeah.
His back was so messed up, he was not going to be coming back, and this was it. I mean, such a cool moment when he spun him around and stunned him.
Yep, and that is the particular moment we're talking
exactly,
about.
Exactly, yeah.
Shawn goes for the sweet chin music. Stone Cold catches it, flips him around. Does he flip him off?
Oh God.
I think he might have.
Spin. I think he did.
Flips him off, kicks him, boom, stunner. We have a new WWF champion, first championship of Austin's career. Cool moment. One of the most important moments in WrestleMania history.
So cool.
Although we do have a number one, and it is, everyone should know what it is by now. Hogan slams Andre, WrestleMania 3, Pontiac, Michigan, in front of over 90.
He does not flip him off.
He does not.
No, he does not.
Okay, well, he should have. 'Cause I would have loved it.
So cool. Watching it right now.
Okay.
Orgasmic.
This is some good podcast audio. I'll let you listen in.
Even as much as I loved that number 2 moment, I couldn't make it number 1 because this really is the signature, and not just WrestleMania moment, but wrestling moment overall. If you were to take a poll of everybody who's ever watched wrestling, people who no longer watch wrestling that did back then would say, I remember when Hulk Hogan slammed Andre the Giant, WrestleMania 3, Silverdome, Detroit, 93,000 plus people. This to me is the only one we could have as number 1.
Oh, it was in newspapers the next day, like articles about it, and it just transcended beyond anything that had ever happened in wrestling before. It became ingrained in the culture. Like you said, you can ask a non-wrestling fan what their favorite wrestling moment is, and they'll probably know about Andre's, and Hogan. Even if they're young, it's just one of those moments that transcends time, transcends anything really, and really stands out as the seminal moment in WrestleMania history.
And that remains, even though we know that Andre the Giant wasn't undefeated, and he had been slammed before. He had even been slammed by Hogan before. Yeah. But that didn't matter, and that doesn't matter. It was just a great, great moment. So, with that, we will move into my favorite part.
Yes, we have our our fantasy draft. We're going to be starting round 11. Since I had the first pick in the last 5 rounds, Jimmy is going to have the first pick in these 5 rounds.
Oh, you're in big trouble now.
Oh, yeah. I'll give you a quick rundown of our teams so far. We have Team Jimmy, who has... I don't have the first days here. Shoot.
I'll give you my team.
Okay.
My team is... from first pick to 10th pick, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, CM Punk, Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage, Kurt Angle, Bruno Sammartino, Jake the Snake Roberts, Edge, and Triple H.
And I went with The Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Ultimate Warrior, Goldberg, Chris Jericho, Bret Hart, Ric Flair, Sting, Brock Lesnar, and John Cena. All right. So... with the 21st pick in the WWE draft, Jimmy selects.
Oh boy, I'm gonna take Bret Hart's available, right?
No.
Sheet, mang, sheet. Well, then I will end up taking Andre the Giant.
Damn it! That was literally the guy I had next.
So there you go.
It was funny. My friend texted me. He goes, "You should take Andre, dude." I was gonna.
Oh, he's mine.
Damn it. Okay, I'm gonna take Mick Foley.
All right, good pick.
Thank you.
I'll be taking Yokozuna.
Really?
Yes.
2-time champion?
At least.
All right. Wow. All right, I'm gonna take him just because I know that you would want to take him.
Don't do it.
I'm gonna do it.
Don't do it.
I'm taking Daniel Bryan.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
I'm taking Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig.
Mr. Perfect. All right. My third pick of the day will be... I'm going to take Chris Benoit.
All right. I like. We're both looking at these lists of people. I'm glad that everybody you're picking is on my list. So that's
good.
That's good. So we're on pick 4 for the day.
Yes.
I'm going to take. I don't know. Maybe I'll stick with my big theme, and go with the Big Show.
Oh, boy, you're gonna have some giants on your team.
Mm-hmm.
Now, could I take Paul White? Is that...
No.
Okay.
No. We're going by human being.
I gotcha.
And you get all their gimmicks.
I gotcha. I see. Okay. With my fourth pick... I think I'm going to do this. I'll take the youngest WWE champion of all time. Do you know who that is?
Wasn't it Brock Lesnar?
It was at one point. It is now Randy Orton.
That's right.
The Viper.
Yeah. Are you sure? Didn't he win the World Heavyweight Championship when he was the youngest, but not the WWE Championship?
He was maybe the youngest world champion.
Because he was the youngest world champion.
Yeah.
I know that. We're gonna go with
last pick.
Rob Van Dam.
Oh, man. I had him written down too. Son of a bitch. All right. My final pick of the day. I'm going to take Kevin Nash.
Okay.
The leader of the Wolfpack. All right, that's our fantasy draft for the day. Recap the whole teams now, I guess. You want to read off yours?
If I can remember who I picked today. So we have Austin, Rock, Punk, Hogan, Savage, Kurt Angle, Bruno Sammartino, Jake Roberts, Edge, Triple H, Andre the Giant, Yokozuna, Mr. Perfect, Big Show, and RV Dong.
All right, and then Team Matt, we got Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Goldberg, Ultimate Warrior, Chris Jericho, Bret Hart, Ric Flair, Sting, Brock Lesnar, John Cena, Mick Foley, Daniel Bryan, Chris Benoit, Randy Orton, and Kevin Nash. Big sexy. All right, cool.
Not bad.
All right. Next, actually, I'm gone after next week's show, so we might have to finish up the 25 after WrestleMania.
Do you want to do that, or do you want to pick
do...
10 next week?
I think we'll have to do 10 next week.
Let's do 10 next week.
And
10 each.
You know what I think? I talked to you about this off air. I think this is how we should do it to determine who has the best team. Pick 20 guys each. We'll put them into a 40-man Royal Rumble on WWE 13. We'll pick 4 singles wrestlers. We'll rank them 1 through 4. 1 will face 1, 2 will face 2, 3, and so on. And then 3 tag teams. And whoever wins the most matches is the champion of the draft.
That sounds good to me.
All right, cool. So, check out the website. See if you like, our teams. Vote on them, whatever you want. We've had no feedback on it whatsoever, so we'd love some. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, at Immortals PCast, at 97Bush, at Jimmy Bellamy. All right, peace, guys. Thanks.
Thank you.